There's some results from like the Masters and stuff like that. Um,
Surprising. Army of the White Hand won.
All
yes.
right, let me do the
Yes.
intro
Not
since we're like
not
recording
only
now.
did it win, it won all of the places.
We're doing it again. We're just like talking over the intro. All right. Well,
Mm,
as you should probably know, because people are like babbling with no context. This is the Unexpected Podcast, as well edited as always.
yes,
Um,
we were gonna edit this first part out and then just start an intro, but instead this is gonna be our intro for some reason.
yeah, this is
So,
our intro. So welcome everybody. So this is a this is a continuation of the conversation we recorded a couple of weeks ago. Evan and I and Alisher are back. We're continuing to muse on the new meta that is starting to form in the wake of the new armies of Middle Earth dropping and the legacies dropping. Um, we have some additional data now. We ran a team tournament here in um, in the Massachusetts area during the last weekend, where we had a bunch of folks and a bunch of teams in here that were running lists, including what was a spoiler team that was just a team that was couldn't win the tournament but was designed just to go and horrify everybody, which was Evan, Alisher, Devin, and Caleb Silverglate, all of whom like took the most abusive lists imaginable and inflicted themselves equally on all the teams. So Evan and Alisher can talk a bit about that experience. We also have some feedback from the masters and some of the tournaments at Ardacon that I'm going to pitch to Evan because Evan studied this. I haven't. But Ardacon is ongoing now. There have been several days of it. We're recording this on the Saturday, so the actual Ardacon main tournament is going on
yeah.
today. But the Masters has gone on. I think the doubles has gone on, and then the last chance qualifier has gone on. So Evan, what's going on at Ardacon, and
Yes.
what lists are dominating there?
Well, as Dad already stated, in classic unexpected podcast fashion, instead of doing the sensible thing and waiting until Ardacon is over in order to review all of the varying lists and strategies that were within, we instead decided to skip the main event, and just record early and talk about the other stuff. So for those of you who like quality holistic reviews, this will be your go-to. Um, so there were two more or less tournaments that are sort of a value in analyzing the new post third book meta at Ardacon. I was looking at doubles as well, but people just sort of brought whatever for that. So not super
Yeah,
interesting
doubles.
to
Get
analyze
out of
that.
here.
Yeah, nobody
Nobody
likes
likes you and
doubles.
your
No, nobody
no.
likes friends in general, so that
I,
must
I,
be
I
why
like I like
people aren't
friends.
going.
I like
Mm,
doubles.
Play with a friend.
yeah, you should be beating up that friend
Yeah, man. Gotta
instead
like
over the board.
share
I guess
decision making.
I guess I'm speaking from the unique perspective of someone that has friends,
Yeah,
but I like them.
You
you
know,
see
that
the
time we played
the
doubles
trick
at
I've
Ardacon
always.
was a lot of fun.
It was. It was. Back when we were friends, Alisher. Do you remember that?
Hmm. I didn't think you
The
guys
glory
were ever
days.
or will ever be friends, but sure. But yeah, my usual trick is just to push everybody away, and yeah, just be super annoying to everyone, and that's how I play SVG.
That's the first competitive tip for the day. Become
Yeah,
unlikable.
don't make friends. Don't be likable. Because if you're likable, that means you're using less brain power to think about how to win. And
Yeah,
winning is everything.
yeah.
That's what you need to learn from this podcast is you need to win no matter what, at all costs. If you need to cheat, do it. That's our advice for today. Honestly, we can just turn the episode off now. This is
No
how you
data
win at
points needed.
SVG. Yeah,
Yeah,
cheat.
I do have to say this is the first time I've really heard of like being a misanthrope being advocated as a competitive strategy. But I just thought it was a
Everybody
byproduct, but
else is just like too scared to share that with the world.
To be fair, Dad, I feel like most misanthropes would say that it is their strategy because they don't want to admit that they're not capable of existing outside of the competitive space. So they're just like, no, no, it makes me play better if I don't have any friends and I'm unlikable to everyone.
all right. Well, now that we've alienated the percentage of our listenership that doesn't have
We
friends.
just lost our entire audience here.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, Off to a
Okay.
roaring start. Anyways, on
Yes,
to
the
the
list.
I
last
think
chance qualifier.
I was going to say I think the original question was what lists are dominating at Ardacon.
Yes. On to, so let's first go over the last chance qualifier. This one was a little smaller, but
It was
smaller in the
like
sense of
40-ish
quality of
players.
players compared to the Masters. But it still had a lot of the Masters players in it. And yeah, I think it was like 48 people, which is decent. Um, I'm not entirely sure how many players Ardacon has this year. I think it's something like 100, um, something like that. So it's a bit smaller, and obviously we're not there. So first off, the list that
Might
won
as
the
well
last
not even
chance
go if we're
qualifier.
not there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were the main attraction of Ardacon. Um,
It's true.
so the list that won the last chance qualifier actually piloted by a guy named Robin, who's French, who I actually he was one of the people I played on a team with at the WTC about a year and a half ago.
But to be
Um,
clear, he's not your friend. Am I right about that?
Sorry, I don't have any friends. So yeah.
Okay, got it.
Sorry, I
Sorry,
need to be
Robin.
more careful about that. I I just to everyone I've ever been friendly with, I don't actually like you. I have no friends.
Yes,
And
yes, all right.
so that's been this episode of The Unexpected
Mhm.
Sociopath.
Well, welcome to an unexpected therapy session.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, his list is speaking of unexpected. I don't know if you saw this one, Alisher.
I just pulled
Um,
it up. I'm shocked.
yeah. So it's Aragorn on armored horse, Gandalf with Shadowfax and Pippin. This is the Men of the West, by the way. Um, and then like 10 Minas Tirith warriors with shields and 11 of them with shields and spears. So it comes in at a mighty 24 models. Um, and it worked.
Dude, that's amazing. What a legend. I
So
mean,
just so in order to support this list even more, it also came fourth at the Masters. Um, so it's
did he
this is not
really?
just yeah, this is not just a fluke. It worked. Um,
I
Where are
think
you guys finding these lists, by the way? I want to tune in
it's
too.
on tourney,
Okay.
Corny.
under Ardacon 2025. It's got like under competitions. Um,
Wow,
There
what
are
a
no
legend.
results matching Articon 2025. All right, let me see
okay,
this.
well,
You keep talking. I'll
we're
figure it
not.
out.
Yes, let's not do this. Let's not solve your technical issues on air. Um, though
We
we
could
seem
appeal
to
to
do
a
that
whole new
pretty often.
demographic of listener, Evan.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Tech Support Unexpected podcast.
How to navigate
All right.
tourney.
I'm finding it. Go on. Go on. Talk lists.
Okay, we're very proud of you. But yeah, I mean, the problem I have analyzing this list is that like this is just a very out there list in comparison to the rest of the lists we've sort of seen as meta in this new edition because the meta's been all about hordes, right?
Yeah.
Um, where it's like you usually expect, at 700, you're expecting 45 plus models in most lists. Um, you'll have like one big hero. like the either the Balrog or Saruman or something like that. Usually just Aragorn in the Men of the West. But this list has two, well, I guess technically three if you count Pippin, massive heroes um, that basically clog up all of the points. Um, and then just sort of a smattering of troops. And you actually saw this list more often in the last edition, where people were much more reliant on their heroes. Um, but I mean,
Just like trying to
the
pull
merits
this
of it are
up.
pretty clear, um, which is
So
that go for it, Alisher.
I was just trying to. So like Gandalf gets to re. He knows staff, but he gets to re-roll a dice. So like for six
Which is
turns, you get two attempts to
seven
cast.
turns because of Pippin.
Oh,
Um,
sure, he has a will point too. And then does he
yeah.
get more attacks if Pippin is on the horse?
Mm, mm.
Or no? He re-rolls
He doesn't.
ones. Haha, such an important ability. Um, and he's resistant to magic. Okay. All right. Sorry for derailing what you were saying.
Mm. Oh, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, both of Aragorn and Gandalf are an incredible combo just in general because you can effectively, if there's any caster, you can use Fortify Spirit. Because Pippin also gives Gandalf resistance to magic, so you can Fortify Spirit both of your own heroes, and then you're pretty much almost immune to magic because you both have two dice to resist. And then Aragorn has that Ring of Barahir on top of it. So it's very hard to shut them down with magic. And if you don't have like a fight 9 or 10 hero that can reliably be higher fight than these heroes, it's very easy to just get overwhelmed by them.
Yeah.
Because Aragorn obviously is ridiculous, and if you lose one fight against him, you can just die. Because it's so easy for him to go two-handed now, wound you on threes, and just kill you. Um, Gandalf is very strong with the four attacks on the charge now. Um, he can go two-handed with Glamdring and be strength 5 plus 1 to wound as well. Um, the issue is you just need to figure out how to keep your Minas Tirith warriors alive.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, I'm actually heartened by this because I'm glad to see a list winning that's kind of outside the prior meta, which was well, kind of exemplified by the next two lists that came in the last chance qualifier, which was a 46 model count Minas Morgul and a 44 model count Army of the White Hand with how many Crebain? One, two, five Crebain.
This is how we differentiate Army of the White
Um,
Hand lists these days. It's
yes.
just did you take 13 Crebain or did you take five
Yeah.
Crebain?
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
how many Crebain do you have?
yep.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's good to see a model with this type of, or sorry, a list with this type of build
Yeah, that's
succeeding.
awesome.
Um,
That's really, really cool.
so that's good. And I mean, this seems I don't know, a little early to tell, but this seems to bear out the idea that with the new scenarios that are wandering around, um, they can they can allow lists like this to succeed.
Yeah.
So that's good.
On the other hand, shall we move on to the Masters?
We
Um,
most certainly can. I will just note, I mean, you're probably going to talk about it. I know that the scenarios are random, but that is like the worst slate of scenarios sequentially that I've seen at a tournament. Let me quickly
Uh,
pull it back up. Two
yeah,
of
I was
them are
just
normal. It was like capture and control and domination, totally normal. And then
sure.
what was it? It was like recon divide. Oh, let me pull it up. I wrote it down because I was so disgusted.
It seems like they're not doing one from each pool then, which would be the
It
most
was
logical thing to
to the
do.
death, recon convergence, heirloom, seize the prizes, and capturing control.
Okay, maybe they did then. But yeah, I mean those aren't great scenarios.
Not in a
Heirlooms, seize
very
the
Army
prizes,
of the
yeah.
White Hand driven meta, I would say.
But
No.
but these were the scenarios for the last chance qualifier.
No, these were the
No, last
scenarios
chance
for the
qualifier
Masters.
was
I'm just
Oh,
segueing
four
that
games.
in to our discussion about them. I I saw the scenarios and I was a little disgusted. I know it's random, so I mean there's no controlling that, but goodness gracious.
Yeah. I mean that's a fair assessment. And perhaps it contributes a little bit to the rather horrifying results from the Masters. So I'll just quickly read out the lists of first place, second place, and third place, and then we can sort of react afterwards. So first place, the list is Army of the White Hand, 46 models, Saruman, Oathmaker, Chieftain. Let's see,
we don't care about that. How many Cobain?
six six Crebain. Um, and then some scouts and warriors and stuff with a banner in there. Okay, well, and Grima as well. Second place, Army of the White Hand, 46 models. Saruman, Oathmaker, Chieftain. One, two, three, four, five, six Crebain. Um, Banner, Orcs, Urukai. Almost an identical list. Third place. Now this is when the variety starts coming in. This is crazy. Well, Army of the White Hand, but check this, guys. 45 models this time.
No.
Even crazier, they have a second chieftain. So it's Saruman, the Oathmaker, and two chieftains.
But why did it
Oof.
lose, Evan? Why didn't this come in first or second?
Well, they made the horrible mistake. One, two, three, four, only five Crebain.
Wah, wah.
Just a horrible decision on their part. There was at
Seriously.
least one more Crebain sitting there that they could have just, picked up, but instead they just took other things, which as you can see, did
This
not
was
do them
this was Jakob.
well.
Jakob, you fool! Why didn't you take the sixth
Uh,
Crebain?
you are aware that this is not the same
Oh,
Jakob
it's
you
not the
think
same
you're
Jakob.
talking to,
Okay,
right?
never mind.
Jakob is a very common name. Um,
Sorry, it just said Jakob, so I assumed it had to be the one.
The one and all.
it's
The one and
literally it's
only.
it's Jacob, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
extremely common. Anyways, um, who Dad thought he was referring to was Jakob from now the UK, who we had on the podcast a
Well,
couple years
I
back.
should have known because Jakob would never have taken five Crebain.
You would have
Yeah, he
known
would have
then.
taken seven.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's a cool thing that happened in the Masters tournament of what is called the World Championships. Um, hmm,
That's like
yeah,
pretty wild. I just and that as far as I don't know, to be honest, I evaluate like tournament enjoyment by scenario selection and then diversity of what you get to play against. I'm not gonna lie, this year's Masters did not seem particularly fun. I mean, if you came with not, even if you came with the white hand and you had to play against the white hand, because I mean, at this point, you had to play against white hand multiple rounds in a row with these scenarios. That's
by
crazy.
the way, from what I saw of the I guess, genetic makeup of the main tournament of Ardacon. I believe Army of the White Hand is the most popular army in that too. We'll
Now,
see
All
if
to
it
be
right.
wins or
fair,
not.
I just pulled up the current rankings. We're 2 rounds into Articon. I was gonna try to give Alex shit because, well, he's an Australian, and I feel like that's just what you do with
Alisher hates
Australians.
Australians.
Um, well, right now, actually, Australia is like killing it, man. They're first, second, and third after 2 rounds. I don't know if that's gonna hold. I'm not making any predictions. Alex is also presently in first place in the GT, and he is instead playing Ugluk Scouts. So kudos to Alex for not taking Army of the White Hand to the tournament. I'm guessing that Tyler, who was also in the Masters, is the one. No, he's not. He's taking Battle of the Five Armies, and the other Australian in second place is taking the Balrog. So
So
I don't know who their White Hand player is, but their White Hand player is not doing very well.
let's pause for a second, since it seems like we're kind of converging on the idea that Army of the White Hand is top of the pack as
Sorry,
far
I've
as
turned into Michael Bay, so I need to fix my. What is happening?
apparently you are ascending and becoming a creature of
Yep.
energy. Is that for
For
those?
those of you who are just listening, the sun is now shining directly through the skylight and on my camera lens in a way that is bathing me in holy light.
Yeah. um,
You are
See if I can
going to
fix this.
become
Okay.
Evan the White.
Hmm.
okay. So Army of the White
I've always
Hand.
been White Alisher.
Yeah. Army of the White Hand is coming out as kind of the top list, at least according to what's going on at Ardacon. Let's pause for a moment and
Yes.
actually think and perhaps give some constructive advice instead of whining about this. What list plays into Army of the White Hand well?
I'm so glad you asked that, Matt, because I'm gonna just very, very humbly come out with the Hobbits because the Hobbits are the Hobbits. I think Hobbits play well into White Hand.
And unpack that.
Um, I think when you look at the Hobbits, first of all, the sheer numbers. I mean, you're talking what, Articon's 700 points. You're talking 70 models compared to 46. Um, there's not really a scenario where now there are, I don't know if with the that slate of scenarios that Hobbits win all the games. Um, Recon would have been tough. I think you have play because unlike a lot of armies, Gandalf does have an opportunity to try to stop Grima. Just blast
It's
them first
it's
turn.
not just Grima, it's the Crebain.
Well, it is the Crebain, but I mean, Grima, I feel like is especially toxic because you
Yeah.
get hero VPs. So you have a little bit of play there. So I don't know what that slate of scenarios, but in general, against White Hand, the Thunderstrike does essentially nothing. I mean, whoop de doo, you killed 5 hobbits. I mean, you're not
Kills
killing any of the heroes.
kills the cart.
Does it not? It doesn't knock him prone. The cart has three wounds.
Oh, that's true. It has 3 wounds. Yeah, no, that's fair. You're right. Disregard.
Yeah, so the cart doesn't care.
Yep.
Gandalf doesn't care. The heroes don't
Cart don't
care.
care.
Cart doesn't care at all. You have a pretty consistent ability throughout the game to outfight them. I mean, Army of the White Hand is predominantly fight three. You have Hobbit archers, you have sheriffs. Um, you can pretty easily just, if you need to, knock down the banners since there aren't really heroes that you're going to knock down. You can get a lot of dice with the discs. If you place the little discs right, I mean, you get a lot of dice to try to kill Trebayne. And you have just really, I mean, think about it in terms of one good turn of shooting with the pots. You have 21 shots and then all of the stones given the situation of deployment.
Yep.
I mean, with if you play the pots well, and Army of the White Hand does not play into the pots well, which is actually quite hard, you lose 8 to 10 models pretty reasonably in shooting between 1 and 2 turns, between the stones and the bows. I think
Yep.
Hobbits give Army of the White Hand a solid run for its money.
Yep. the other one that I was thinking of, and I guess we'll talk about this later, is a dragon list.
Yeah.
Um, because the dragon can kind of lurk out of. So you have this. Well, first of all, the dragon can incinerate the Crebain as long as the Crebain are kind of near something else. They need to be within 2 inches of something else because you don't want to actually breathe fire on the Crebain and try and roll a six to hit unless you've got no other options. But if the Crebain get anywhere near any other target, you just breathe fire on something that's within 2 inches of them, and um, the Crebain get barbecued. And you
Actually,
have
that's
kind of an
shocking that there aren't more banners. Sorry to cut you. Not banners, more dragons. Sorry to cut you off, Matt. But goodness, I'm like, why?
it may just be new. I mean, not a lot of people kind of have dragons.
And I
Um,
guess traveling with the
Because they were
dragon is pretty
terrible
god
before.
awful.
yeah. Um,
Okay, fair enough.
Shall we, I guess, shall
yeah.
we talk about the dragon in general a little bit more?
Well, before we
Um,
do that, let's put a pin in that. We'll talk about the dragons more. So, dragon is another thought. Evan, what's your thought for playing into um, Army of the
White
White Hand?
Hand?
Let's finish that off.
Well, it's not the dragon. Yeah, I actually, that would be one of the lists I would prefer not to face if I were playing the dragon, for a multitude of reasons. The main one being that Saruman just completely shuts down the dragon. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
there's
I don't know about that, but
almost
go on.
nothing you can do. I don't know how you don't know about that, because A, his spells are 18 inches, so you can walk into 18 and walk out, and the dragon can't move and breathe fire to retaliate. B, he targets the dragon, which means that the dragon is going to struggle to resist. Because sure, it's got resistance to magic, but with -1 on all of its dice and only three will, it's going to start getting shut down. Four, uh, now this is a funny thing to say, but Army of the White Hand just completely outfights you. Like, it just
Yeah, that's
completely
that's
beats you
that's
in
the
combat.
problem, I guess. Yeah, because
Um,
it's fight three.
is is if Saruman shuts down the dragon, White Hand will just completely walk over Moria. And just even if you don't have the Crebain, your fight three orcs and ruffians, which are usually not great into most armies, will just completely destroy you.
Yep, that's a
You're
problem.
also outshot as well, especially if they have a bunch of Urukai bows, which can actually do a lot of damage to you. I would not want to play against this list
All
with the
right.
dragon.
So what do you want to play against this list?
Um, I mean, there's a couple of things that work decently well into it. Um, Arnor is okay at it. Arnor can do pretty well just because of the fight for and everything.
Although,
You
if
just
what's
need to
his
be
name gets
careful in some
transfixed,
matchups
they
about
yeah
the Crebain. Yeah, Malbeth getting transfixed isn't great.
yeah,
Um,
and they don't really have Arnor also doesn't kind of have an answer to the Crebain when it comes to things like recon and stuff like that.
yeah.
Although they've got Cav at least. Now they have Cav.
Actually, in a funny way, usurpers of Edoras might have a decent shot against it,
That's actually one of the things I was thinking
because
too is
you
usurpers.
outfight within range of Freka, with Fight for Wildmen. You have more Crebain, um, and you have at this points level probably like 10 more models, something like that. So you can weather a lightning strike and still be totally fine on the other side. Um,
And the list doesn't depend on its heroes, so there's really
yeah.
nobody for Saruman to shut down.
Yeah. Um, I think Assault on Lothlorien could do pretty well. Just because you outshoot them, you outnumber them again by like 10
I
models.
agree.
Um, and I mean, Saruman can shut down the War Chieftain if he wants, but that's not gonna stop AOL from just ripping through the army. And because AOL gets that, has Prowlers, which get a bonus when trapped, and they also, if they outnumber, they get +1 to wound. They can just chew through the Crebain pretty quickly as well. Um, so yeah, I think Assault on Lothlorien could do well. Obviously not in this tournament because Assault on Lothlorien is banned in this tournament because it's Legacy. Um, but I think they'd have a pretty good shot at it.
For kicks and giggles, I see that Jay Clare is playing at Ardacon this year. So that's cool.
Oh,
What's he playing? Out of curiosity.
probably something super meta like he always
Kazadoom.
does. Yeah.
Kazadoom with a ballista. I'm very curious. Well, I mean, he's lost the game, but that's neither here
Okay.
nor there. He has Turin, Martin, and the ballista at 700.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Casa Doom's a fun list to play, but
I
I don't think it's a
yeah,
world beater.
I've heard a lot of people talk about Khazad-dûm being very competitively viable, and after playing against it twice and completely destroying it twice, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's significantly better than it used to be. I'm just not entirely sure it's as good as people say it is.
Yeah,
I'm curious. Sorry.
oh, I was just going to say it still has some of the weaknesses in the list have been fixed with the mirrors and that kind of extra die that you get. So Khazad-dûm has a rule where if you get to re-roll a die if the other side is rolling more dice than you are. So all of a sudden, those individual dwarf warriors fighting on their own kind of get auto bannered, which is a useful thing to have. Um,
I have actually found that that is less useful than people think it is. The reason being is oftentimes it's your dwarves one attack against somebody's two attacks, which means if you're in banner range, it's useless, right? Either your banner is useless or
yeah,
that is
so
useless.
when you build the list, you want your banner to be near your vault wardens, and then the guys that are going to be away from the banner are on their own. But what it essentially means is if you're away from a banner, you don't need to shield anymore with your dwarves because there's no benefit
Yeah.
to it. You just go ahead and you fight, and you're rolling two dice against
It
your opponent's
also
two dice, and usually you've got higher fight value, and then you get a chance to kill them if you win.
it
So
also means the viability of the King's Champion, who is by all mathematical standards an extremely powerful option, sort of gets brought into question a little bit because at least when I played a Khazad-dûm list with him in it, seemed like the banners really weren't getting a lot of use out of them. Like one of them had some uses, and then the other one was with some dwarves that were just getting outnumbered and re-rolling anyways. Um, which I
Yeah.
guess
You
makes the
really don't
list
need two in the
interesting.
list.
so so yeah, I mean, what's good with the since we're off on this tangent, what's good with the King's Champion? I think you actually now play the King's Champion the way he was intended to be played, which is King's Champion and those two guys together and those two
Just
banner
got
bearers
banners
together in the
together, sure.
yeah in a little triangle, so that everybody's got really high fight, or I'm sorry, everybody's got really high defense, and everybody can kind of share fate. And they actually, where it gets useful is when like the mounted hero uh, charges the King's Champion, because then he gets three dice, but he could re-roll two of those. One because his opponent is rolling four dice against him, and the other for the banner, which is helpful. And then he can take a punch because he's defense nine to begin with, and there's like five fate involved, which means he can kind of square off against the really hitty mounted heroes pretty well, which is probably how he was intended to be played. I think it actually kind of works out pretty well. I mean, it works out pretty well. You have to kind of think about how you design your army list and how you play it to get the most out of that ability to re-roll less dice. And in this particular meta, having two defense nine banners with five fate that can, well, actually, I'm not sure, can't remember. I think the fate can go to
I think
the
they can
King's
just
Champion,
give
but
the
not the
fate
other
to the
way.
King's
But
Champion.
but even so, it's a defense nine hero with two fate, right? That's carrying a banner, and you've got two of them.
On the
So
flip side, they can't pass the banner,
they
which
can't
in
pass the
some
banner. That's true.
situations is unfortunate.
That is true. But you do get two of them, so you do have a backup if he manages to kill one of your defense nine two fate banners. So, um, but anyway, Where were we?
I need to get Khazad-dûm out on the table more. The style of build that I want to try, I don't know that I think it is good, but I think Khazad-dûm can. I don't know. As much as Durin is one of my favorite heroes in the game, I always find that I feel like the list builds better without him because then you can just get better numbers and you can kind of try to stat push. I want to try a variation of Khazad-dûm that almost is like reverse engineered Dale, and I'm just using that to compare as a comparison in terms of like double ballista and then max out Dwarf Rangers. I don't remember what it looks like. I think I was building at a 750. You get like high 40s if you don't take Durin, and then you do that. I like the idea of it. I want to give that a
Hmm.
try. I would agree with you both, though, that Khazad-dûm is better than it was last edition, but I don't think that it's like top tier in the competitive sphere. If you're pl I don't know. As much as I like Durin, I think what we found last. I think if you like, if we brought back 1,000 point tournaments, I think Khazad-dûm. I mean, Khazad-dûm did well at 1,000 points. I think it would even do better at 1,000 points. But I don't see us bringing back 1,000 point tournaments anytime soon.
I don't know. I played Durin, and I liked the way he played, and I think
I like Durin a lot. I
I
like
think
Durin
he
a
was
lot.
worth his points. I mean, it the problem with the remaining problem with the list is its slow move. I mean, it still waddles around, and in situations where somebody the Khazad-dûm list I mean, there's few better in a straight up fight, like where the lines come together and you're fighting. There's few better lists than that. The problem is if you get somebody who's going to try and kite you and win that way, um, it's still,
That's tough.
it's still really hard to do because
I mean,
it can
it's
still get
also
shot. Even
it's
with
easy
those
to
mirrors and
choose.
its high defense.
That's why
It's
I
easy
think
to
almost you
choose.
have like if you really lean into shooting, it does become one of the best shooting lists in the game. It really can play by for that a top spot there.
Yeah,
Um,
with the new Rangers. But
yeah,
if somebody's got something that can take down heavy armor like bolt throwers or a dragon or something like that,
it becomes
it's
tough.
it's an uphill fight because
That was my experience with it.
yeah,
Did you
I
play against
played
double ballista though, Evan?
I did not play against Double Ballista, but when I was playing the Dragon, I played against a Khazad-dûm list, and I believe I killed 19 models with Breathe Fire
That's
in
crazy.
that particular game, um, which was which was horrifying. Also, the other time I played against it was with AOL, where I basically walked into combat and just beat the army in combat. Um, so I do agree it is strong in combat. Um, it
yeah
was just that was a
against
time when
against mass plus one to wound, it doesn't hold up. You're right
yes,
about that.
it crumbles against +1 to wound. Because what the dwarves are relying on is the fact that they've got one attack and a reroll. But if they lose combat, they'll survive because of
That is
Resistance
fair.
7.
D7 is less
But
valuable right now,
yeah,
slightly.
I mean,
It is still,
Defense
to be
7
fair, two
has
rounds
always
in,
been valuable, but
two,
with
two rounds
with the
in,
prevalence of +1 to wound, it's tough.
it is fifth at Ardacon with David Reed.
What scenarios were the first two?
I don't
Oh, I
know,
know
but listening to,
one was divide and conquer because Mick's there and he's giving us
I
reports.
think the
He's
other
apparently
one was
lost the two Balrogs,
domination.
but
I think
okay,
divide and conquer, and then yeah,
yep,
and then just a subtle. Damien is currently undefeated, and he is also playing hobbits, but he's not playing them what in how I would describe as optimized. So he has Bilbo and Samwise, no Lobelia that I can see. No, no,
That's
no,
a
Lobelia is
choice.
there. No Lotho, and who else? He doesn't have Paladin. I think Paladin's a massive
yeah.
mistake, personally.
So I'm actually I don't know. I did up some lists. I actually think I would definitely take Bilbo over Lotho because Bilbo gives you an answer to the Balrog that otherwise the list really doesn't have.
You have
Um,
-1. You can just -1 the Balrog every turn.
yeah, maybe.
I mean,
um,
you have what? You need a 2+.
Yeah, but you still actually have to beat the Balrog and like have somebody kill it. If once Bilbo gets into the Balrog, it's over for the Balrog.
Well, that is true. But I mean, you could
Um,
just kill Bilbo. I don't know. That
with
is fair.
what?
I
Anyway, there's I think different ways to build that Shire list because even I mean I've come up with a list that has both Bilbo and Sam in it that I think still has like
It,
58 models.
I do think
Um,
we agree though that leaving out Paladin is probably not
yeah,
the
I
choice.
I
yeah,
would put
that's not a
Paladin
wise
in.
decision.
Yeah, I would
Paladin
put
is pretty
Paladin.
important.
Um,
Yeah. By the
uh,
way, the David Reed with the Khazad-dûm list was in Masters, but in that setting, the list came 14th out of 16th. Um,
I
so
mean, think of the scenarios,
perhaps our
man.
theory,
Recon,
yeah,
Convergent, seize the
yeah,
prize as heirlooms. Like
yeah. No,
that is
that's
just
not a, those are not good dwarf scenarios.
no, they're not.
yeah.
um, so I mean, it could be that Casa Doom is a list that you want to play with the veto system,
Yeah.
but
I'd say definitely.
yep. Um,
Um, but yeah. Other than that, I think Khazad-dûm's fine. You know what I've seen a lot of sort of chatter about, and was actually somewhat popular at our team tournament, as in more than one person played it, which was surprising because every other list only one person played, is Army of Erebor, um, which is the one the basically late Erebor reclaimed of the last edition. Um, which I believe
so
what the two players who took them to our tournament did was they took Gimli and Gloin because if they're in three, they reroll failed to wound rolls. Um, and then they took a Dwarf King as well, I think, and then just stacked up on as many models as they could,
mhm.
um, which is interesting. Um, I mean, obviously, the main benefit of the army is very clear, which is that if you're spear supporting, you get +1 to wound, um, which at a max means that 50% of your models will get +1 to wound. Um,
So is it just the guy in front that gets +1 to wound, or both?
if you are spear supporting, that
Oh, the
spearman
guy
gets
behind.
+1 to
Okay,
wound.
I get you.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So it's weaker in that respect, because you need to be spear supporting, and there are many ways to prevent that. And also, none of your heroes will get it because none of your heroes have spears. Um,
Yeah, but if you're rerolling wounds with your heroes, who cares?
yes, with
With
two of your
Gimli and
heroes, they
Gloin.
will reroll to wounds.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, which is definitely an interesting army. I'm not sure if I'm convinced by it. Um, I mean, I've seen what Erebor Reclaimed can do. I played against Alistair King at Nations Cup, and he had Erebor Reclaimed, and that list felt pretty strong. Um, but the reasons it felt pretty strong are also the reasons why I'm more skeptical of this list of Army of Erebor, because Erebor Reclaimed relies heavily on the ability to call a march and then charge the opponent with that march,
Yep.
because otherwise a similar thing happens to Khazad-dûm where you can just avoid them. The issue is that there's going to be a lot more lists that Khazad-dûm will be able to outshoot compared to Army of Erebor. So I think honestly Army of Erebor will have even more of a problem of getting avoided and cheesed, um, and stuff like that, just because of its very turtley nature. Um, Erebor Reclaimed also has, I'd say, better heroes, because Thorin's really good, and Ori especially is very, very good. And being able to have access to those cheaper and more powerful heroes helps a lot with churning through troops.
Yep.
So I'm just not convinced by Army of Erebor. I mean, I think it's possible that it could be good, and maybe sometime soon we'll see somebody doing really well with it. Um, but I don't know. I just don't think it has the flexibility
Yeah,
to be able to be like a really strong competitive list.
I think I mean the earlier Erebor list also has Bofer and his ability to turn off anything bad
Yeah.
happening within
At
three
higher
inches.
points, you can do that
Yep.
as well. Yeah.
I don't know. I think even at lower points you do that, but
It's harder to fit him in, because you want Thorin, you want Gloin, and you want Ori. Um, I think Ori and Thorin are probably better than Bofur,
yeah,
and
don't know
then
about
the
I don't know
question is
about Gloin
Gloin
though.
or
Yeah,
the question is Gloin or
not
Bofur.
that not that Gloin's not good, but I think I might take Bofer and a few more guys over Gloin. But I guess it depends what meta you're in. Um, Certainly, if there's a dragon running around, you want him, or you want Bofer. But uh, uh, okay, all right. Well, okay. So other than all right, so you had wanted to talk about the dragon. So let's why don't we segue to that? Let's talk about the dragon because we're we've I think we've kind of gone through our what can we take into uh, what can we take into Army of the White Hand? Let's chat dragon.
Yeah. Um, so I played 5 games at this team tournament. The only game I lost was heirlooms. And the reason I lost that game is because there was a massive building on one side of the board and the dragon could not fly into it. Um, but other than like if the dragon is able to access the opposing army, um, there's really not much you can do to it other than casting or hoping you have overwhelming shooting that can just shoot out the goblins faster than the dragon can torch you. Um, I'm tempted to say that breathe fire is probably the best way you could possibly spend 50 points like ever. Um, because it accomplishes two things. Um, it either makes the opponent split up their entire army for the entire game and just like spread them out, make sure they're all out of 2 inches of each other, and really just ruin their army's coherence and structure. And it does that for cheaper than a siege engine and does that for longer than a siege engine because the dragon can just breathe fire straight into combat. And siege engines cannot do that. Um, breathe fire also notably stronger than a siege engine because the
Doesn't
blast
scatter.
also does the instant kill
Yeah.
and the strength 10 hit, and it doesn't scatter. And it also hits on twos or threes if you move. Um, and I think the even more catastrophic thing is that if you keep your army together, and you have no way of like shutting down the dragon with magic or something like that, you will just lose. Um, as sort of shown by my example of that Khazad-dûm game, um, where the dragon killed 19 models with breathe fire,
Yeah.
um, which for those of you doing the math at home, is an absurd conversion rate for a 300 point model. I don't, there are very rare times when a 300 point or above model makes its points back by killing more points of models than it was worth. And I think I did that in 3 games with the dragon. Um, and basically what would happen is the dragon would sit back and breathe fire and just kill a ton of warriors and then the heroes would burn themselves out of might trying to make up the deficit against the goblins. And then in the end game, the dragon would fly in and kill every single one of the heroes. And that happened multiple times. I think the most points I killed with the dragon was around 500. These being 700 point games, by the way. Um, I don't I don't think that the math should math that way, to be totally honest. Um, But basically, the dragon is too strong, and you either have a way to deal with it or you don't. And if you don't have a way to deal with it, you'll just get completely destroyed.
Yeah, I think that's right. Um, the Devin and I were musing about what to do with the dragon on the way back, and this is just yeah, this is all just uh, you know meta 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 musings, but the ability to breathe fire every round is really kind of what breaks the dragon, and we're almost thinking like the way to kind of fix the dragon is to say that you have to spend a point of will to recharge after you breathe fire. So like you breathe
Holy
fire,
shit, that's a crazy idea.
you breathe
Imagine, imagine that being a thing.
well, so not like you just spend a point of will to do it, which is the old rule,
Oh, okay.
but you breathe fire, you spend a point of will on the next turn and it recharges. Then the turn after that, you breathe fire again. You spend a point of will on the turn after. So basically, you can breathe fire every other turn, and you get 4 shots to do it. Um, that was kind of what we're thinking about.
Okay.
Um,
So you spend the will after the breathing fire?
yeah, you have to on a turn on which you are not breathing fire, you spend a point of will and to recharge. Basically, you're spending the point of will to inhale, and then
Hmm.
you got it ready to go again.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because the issue is I think the dragon will either be unviable or overpowered, and I don't know how you balance that because the dragon relies completely on well, A, you always pick fly, because fly makes the dragon function. Uh, um, Otherwise, you just don't have the variety of threat. Because what fly allows you to do is it allows you to either breathe fire, or if your opponent leaves a hero open, you can just fly into them and kill them. Um, which taking just breathe fire without the fly does not do. Um,
It also increases your breathe fire range from um,
15 to
15 inches
18,
to
yes,
18 inches, which
which is
helps.
huge. Um, but yeah, I mean, the only really like viable way to play the dragon, which is the overpowered way to play the dragon, is with both breathe fire and fly, um, which is a great example of how making things stronger doesn't necessarily give you more variety. Because back in the old edition, people would just sort of take the dragon with what they wanted. Like some people, like pretty much everyone would take, well, no, first off, no one really took the dragon. But if they did, it'd be often with fly, but sometimes they wouldn't take fly. Sometimes they'd take breathe fire, sometimes they'd take worm tongue. And now we're just in a situation where the best option to always take on your dragon is to always take fly and breathe fire. It's the most powerful option by far. You should take nothing else, and that's pretty
Well,
much what people are doing.
unless you're taking Dragons of the North, in which case you have to take something else. But you can
Yes,
do,
in which case your first dragon takes fly, breathe
breathe
fire, and
fire.
like tough hide or something, and then your second dragon takes fly and breathe fire, and then you're good.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Yeah,
but yeah,
yikes.
it's just a very, very silly mechanic, that just completely throws balance out of whack with the dragon.
Heard enough. We should ban the dragon at every event.
I don't know. I don't think we should ban the dragon. I think we need to fix the dragon. I think the dragon's eminently fixable, and he's a really fun model to play with.
No, I agree.
Um, but um, but right now, I think you're right. Breathe fire makes him a bit overtuned. Um, uh, but yeah, actually, now I'm thinking through the math with Saruman. Maybe Saruman is the best defense to the dragon. Although even if he ends up in a situation where he gets near the dragon or the dragon can heroic combat into him, it's all over. But um, uh, all right, so we got the dragon off the table. Alisher, what were you playing at the team? What abusive list were you playing at the team tournament? Remind me.
Super abusive. I had, of course,
Oh, you had the
hobbits.
shot. You had the hobbits. Yeah. Okay. So we've had a hobbit discussion. And
I will note, there were many people who played at this tournament. I was the only one who was undefeated. Just saying. Nobody on the spoilers team walked away undefeated. White Hand defeated. Dragon defeated. Battle of Fornos defeated Shire. Too good. Either that or
yep,
I'm just that amazing, but
yep.
I think it's the
I'm
latter,
humble.
Alisher. I mean, you're
I'm humble.
practically yeah, you're practically Middle Earth SPG Jesus. Like everything you everything you touch is just like
It just turns to
perfection.
gold. I know, man. I know. But the humble person I am, we're going to say that Shire is just very good.
All right. So are there dominant lists out there that we haven't talked about? One thing that I think, by the way, gets degraded with
It's
the
an
new
excellent
scenarios.
question.
So I think Dale, in my mind, gets degraded from dominant
I
to
agree.
competitive at this point. It's still competitive, but with the new scenarios that are out there, there's a bunch of them that put Dale at a big disadvantage, um,
Mhm.
and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, notably it's significantly less popular at Ardacon than previous tournaments
Yeah,
that we've seen.
I mean
Uh,
Dale's primary function now, I think, is to keep dragons in check. They are basically the last best hope against the dragon, other than Saruman. Although if you do end up in a scenario where you aren't going to get the shots at the dragon, it's a problem. So yeah, what happened to that Heirlooms of Ages Past scenario? Because I know you were playing that against Dale. Ev, um, were there just no opportunities to shoot the dragon out because of deployment? Because I know that's
uh,
Maelstrom of Battle.
so I moved second.
Yep.
Um, he he deployed. The dragon flew on and just torched the Windlance turn one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he only had one.
And yeah, he only had one,
Oh, okay.
and killed like all of the guys around the Windlance too. And then basically I was winning, and then I picked up all of the objectives that I could, which was five of them. None of
Yep.
those five were the objective. The one objective that was the objective was basically surrounded by a bunch of his guys in a tiny little section of this massive house that the dragon couldn't fly into.
Yeah. All right. Well,
And then
you answered my question as to
yes,
what happened with the
it's
shooting, which is
the
you came
dragon
on
just
second and
flies.
immediately annihilated the
The
Windlance.
dragon in Maelstrom is brutal if you go
Yep.
second because you can just fly on at any point, stay out of charge range, and just start torching warbands. Um,
I am now envisioning what happens when the dragon breathes fire on a Momac.
it dies.
And,
Is the
it,
short
and like
answer.
everybody that rides it, it dies too because they're all within
Yes.
2 inches, right?
This is Dad, you need to understand that this is a good mechanic and well thought out and healthy for the game. And definitely
Fair.
does not completely invalidate some lists from the get-go.
Yeah.
You might be wondering, what do eagles do against the dragon? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. It's fine. What do ents do against the dragon? Not a problem. Don't think about it too hard.
Well, I mean, come on. What would trees be expected to do against a giant fire breathing lizard? Um,
Apparently, in this edition, other than the giant flying lizard, be fine because they have no vulnerability to fire whatsoever.
yeah,
Um,
but still. Um, well, okay. So
you
academic
might
point
also be
going. I'm
wondering, what does
still.
Smaug do against the dragon? The answer is die,
Oh,
because
that's
Smaug
Um,
interesting.
has no fate and the dragon has three fate. So you get breathe fire on by Smaug,
Oh
you fade
God.
it, and then Smaug breathes fire back and
Well,
kills him.
is Smaug immune to fire?
No.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Though Smaug can cast spells, but you just charge a guy into Smaug and then breathe fire on him.
Right. Oh, good lord. Well, I mean, I guess I'm not going to spend a lot of time and energy feeling sorry for Smaug. Um, Anything that makes him show up less at tournaments is probably good.
Yeah.
yeah.
um, but oh yeah, he's got no fate. Yeah, boy. Um, Yeah, I'm just
Our
thinking.
dear friends, back to like what is like top tier competitive.
Oh
Our
no,
dear
no, hang on a
friends.
second.
Oh,
Point of
Oh,
order.
is he immune to fire?
I am fire. I am death. Smaug is immune to any fire-based attacks.
Oh
All right.
Evan,
no.
So
Evan,
take
are you
if you
even
want to
good at
take down
this
the
game?
dragons,
All
take
right,
Smaug.
the dragon is fine. It's balanced. It's okay. We don't need to worry
Yeah,
about it.
Yep.
Smaug is fine. Jeez, you got
Yeah.
my hopes up.
Yep.
All right, so
Um,
back to
I'm
what's
sorry I didn't
competitive.
bother to read Smaug's rules in this edition.
I'm curious to know what you all think. I guess you all, it's two of you. I'm curious to know what you guys think. So our dear friends at Into the West, they released their like power rankings, and their top three good armies in terms of what they believe is the most competitive are Lorien, which my understanding is they think is the most competitive list in the game, the Battle of the Five Armies, and Defenders of the Pelennor.
These are the competitive good lists, right?
Yes, that's what
No,
they
okay.
believe are the three best good lists in the game.
I don't. So it's Lothlorien, Battle of Five Armies, and what else?
Defenders of the Pelennor.
Interesting. Um,
And my understanding,
no.
I didn't really listen to the podcast.
Hmm.
My understanding is their argument for Battle of the Five Armies and Defenders of the Pelennor are options. You just have a lot of options.
I
so
agree with that in Battle of the Five Armies. I think Battle of Five Armies, especially at higher points, is quite strong. Specifically because you can take Gwahir, and Gwahir is ridiculous. Um, I'm not sure about Defenders of the Pelennor just because it's so hard to get foot troops. Um, because you either have to go with the Men of the Dead, um, which are expensive, or you need to take the Gondor heroes in order to lead Gondor troops. Because a lot of the heroes you want either can't really lead troops or lead the wrong types of troops. Like a lot of them
Hmm.
lead Rohan, which
Hmm.
if you're trying to make like a sort of balanced, like all-encompassing army, sure you'll want some cavalry, but you don't want 15 cavalry or however many the Rohan hero of valor you just took can lead, which means you have a lot of warband struggles, which is why I don't
there
think Defenders is tested.
there's some good lists in Defenders because I mean the Minas Tirith and like um, fiefdoms armies or fiefdoms figures put together are pretty good. You can build war bands that have um, you know have Minas Tirith warriors with shield in front,
Yes.
which are
The
good,
issue is you
and
have to be somewhat compromising with your hero choices.
you can
This was
have
my
just to finish
point.
the thought, you can have the uh, what are those guys? The Blackroot Vale archers with spears and back, which is a pretty good combo. And the other thing is the Defenders of Pelennor army bonus is actually not that bad, where like every hero gets a free hero combat. Um, I almost wonder if that's like if you're going to take like an all hero list, whether that's a decent one to
Hmm.
take because you can get gambling with his banner. I mean, I agree with you; it's still kind of untested, but I think there's definitely potential in that list. The one I wasn't actually sure of was the Battle of Five Armies. I'm actually looking that over now. I've never really kind of considered doing that. I know Gwahir's in there, but um,
The main trick with Battle of Five Armies is fitting Gwahir in,
yeah,
which
right.
at 700 and 750 is challenging but possible.
Hmm.
What I've seen people do is they take Gwahir, they take Legolas with some elves, they take a Lake Town captain with some Lake Towners, and then they just take the cheapest dwarf hero they can and some dwarves, and you usually get like mid to high 30s, maybe 40 models. Um, and it does pretty well. Um, I mean, I played against a Battle of Five Armies list at Nations Cup, and it ended up beating me at 750. Um, so I think it's a strong list. Do I think it's better than something like Battle of Fornost? I'm less
Yeah,
confident in.
I was gonna bring
Um,
that. That was my primary critique. Well, I have many critiques with their list, but in terms of what's in the top, I don't know why I don't even know where they say that, like. their tier is different, but like theirs is Battle of Fornos is competitive, not top tier. Are you both? So I didn't hear either of you really challenge Lothlorien. Do you both feel that Lothlorien is top tier competitive?
I don't think it's number one. I think it could very well be top tier. Um, I I just feel like Rivendell's better. Um, is what my gut tells me. Um, because Arwen is just crazy.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
for what you get from taking her. Like she completely blows any of the Lothlorien heroes of fortitude out of the water in terms of value.
Mm,
Um, and I mean, even like Elladan and Elro here, the fact that they get three attacks on foot are significant upgrades compared to the Loth heroes of valor. And like, don't get me wrong, Celeborn is good. He's really good.
mm,
The +1 to wound bubble is good. The thing is, elves this edition don't need the +1 to wound bubble as much because they
yeah,
can go two-handed reliably. And going from wounding on sixes to fives is a much bigger deal than going from wounding on fives to fours. So stacking +1 to wound isn't nearly as valuable as that initial +1 to wound.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think Lothlorien's very good. I don't know if it eclipses Rivendell.
I think what I've heard is the like Lothlorien very well has the argument for being the best shooting army in the game between Blinding Light and the cloaks, and well, of course, the fact that it's self
Yeah,
shooting. I don't know
the
if
the
that's
issue
part of
then
their
is you need
their
to fit
thought.
in
It,
Galadriel and Celeborn, which creates a
Yeah,
pretty passive structure,
yeah, that's
um,
fair. That's
where you
fair
need
because
to
then you're not
rely on
taking the other
your
heroes.
warriors a lot.
yeah,
I haven't
and
seen Lothlorien do well anywhere. I think it's good. I just haven't seen it done. Like
yeah.
I haven't seen it do well.
The other problem it has is that concept requires you to. I mean, I think the way you build it is you know, your you have your battle line troops who are the Lothlorien models, and then you have your wood elves who are your shooters. And if the wood elves ever have to fight, they just dissolve. Um,
Also true.
so you end up in this weird situation where you're trying to build this where you're like, well, I want to maximize my bow fire, so I want 1/3 of my figures to be wood elves, and then I end up in a scenario where bow fire isn't going to work, and 1/3 of my 1/3 of my models are fragile as eggs,
I
and
usually
that's a
I
problem.
usually just completely ignore the army bonus and just take Galadrim warriors with bows because defense 3 really sucks.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's
but
it's just it's a good list. I'd say it's a very good list. I don't think it's top. I don't think it's the best forces of good list. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily in the top tier of them.
so what is the best forces of good list in your opinion?
That is a very good question.
That's why I asked it.
Because it is so Dad, what I was doing was giving you a compliment. I wasn't asking for more. Anyways, just what our listeners love to hear. It's this is a lot less clear cut than Evil, because Evil just has a bunch of uber crazy lists
Well, I
that
mean,
just
we
destroy
kind of know.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, so we kind of know it's Army of the White Hand. So on evil,
Yes.
let's move on.
Yeah. Um, I'm honestly struggling to come up with a best list. I think Battle of Fornost is in the running, with just how much it can
Hmm.
do. The only issue with it is it suffers a bit at lower points just because you have to take both Glorfindel and Earner, and that gives you numbers issues. Um, I think there are a lot of really strong potential good lists. I think Realms of Men, where you spam bolt throwers, um, could just be ridiculous because bolt throwers are ridiculous
Oh God, that
in this
list is
edition.
awful.
Yeah, Dad has a traumatic memory of when Realms of Men, when we first saw the book come out, I was like, hold on, what if I just take three bolt throwers in a Realms of Men list at 800 points, and I just completely shot out his Khazad-dûm army in domination. Uh, it's yeah, bolt throwers are ridiculous, and spamming them, I think, just completely unbalances. So yeah, Realms of Men, I think, could have a decent shot at it.
By the way, good answer
Um,
to the dragon as long as you can stay at range for long enough.
yeah, I mean, you just gun down the goblins. Another thing you can do in Realms of Men is you can take 33% Blackroot Vale archers as well. So you can have the bolt throwers and call heroic shoots and get reroll failed to wounds with your rangers.
I think you can get. Can you get bolt throwers in Defenders of the Pelennor? Let me
You
see.
can.
Yeah. All
You
right.
can.
So that's also a thing.
That yes, that is an option. Bolt throwers are crazy.
Oh, that's right. We did that when we took Defenders of the Pelennor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, I mean, Men of the West is solid too.
hmm
And I mean, we saw a Men of the West
Yeah.
list that was a bit more unorthodox also do well um,
I think Men
at
of the West.
Ardacon.
I think Men of the West may actually get my vote. I was kind of contemplating that too,
Mm.
just because
The only
Aragorn
issue
is so hard to
with
stop.
Men of the West is it can sometimes just get not just have issues with janky lists. Um, like the Dragon, for example.
Hmm
It also has a criminally bad matchup against Minas Morgul, um, just because the orcs just completely destroy you due to striking against courage. Um, but yeah, it is a very, very solid army.
Yeah. Unlike so, my sense is that for the evil army lists, there are a handful of lists that everybody knows are really good, and those just are like head and shoulders above everything else that's on the evil side. And good, that's not actually true. Good has kind of more
It is more
diversity.
balanced, yeah.
Yeah, good has more diversity, but kind of fewer lists that can kind of like handle all situations.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah.
Eagles, I guess, is another list to bring up. I don't think they're quite as overwhelming,
Not anymore.
but
So I
yeah,
think Eagles like
I
whatchamacallit, like Dale, I think have been kind of demoted from dominant to just competitive.
I agree.
There's a lot of stuff out
I
there.
would still put them in the top of the good lists just because sometimes they'll well, first off, there's not a lot of dominant good lists.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and in
If
fact,
there
I
if
don't
there are
think there's
any,
any.
yeah,
Um, but my point is that I think they are in the running for some of the best good lists because they still are very, very good. They still have a lot of good matchups. And a lot of the scenarios now are very, very good for them because they are not beasts, which means they basically completely dominate in a lot of the object scenarios.
yep,
This is true,
Um,
yeah.
like heirlooms, seize the prizes, they also have a very high intelligence score, so they can just go up past their intelligence test and pick up the object. Um, yeah, scenarios like that. Obviously, Lords of Battle and Contest of Champions are great for them. Um, they yes, they did get some more unfavorable matchups, but they also got a lot more favorable scenarios.
yeah.
So I think they're
The
still in
problem
the running.
yeah, I agree. The problem for the Eagles now is not the uh, not the scenarios. I think it's that there's some lists out there for which the Eagles are kind of like the dragon, for which the Eagles are like natural prey. Um,
Yes.
that
Just
the
like in real life, dragons eat birds.
well, eat giant birds, yeah, um,
Hmm.
and that's kind of a problem. There's it used to be there were a few lists that the Eagles really didn't want to face, like Dale, and now there are, I think, more of those.
Yeah.
Another good list that I think ranks amongst the most competitive, or at least the higher tiers of competitive. I'm gonna say Last Alliance with the clause that Aerostor really, I think, makes the list viable. So if you can't play Aerostor, I don't think it's like top tier competitive. If you can, I think it's quite good if you can take Aerostor, because then
Yeah.
you have an easier ability to balance points. I don't think you necessarily can go wrong between picking either. I understand he's on foot. I like Elendo a lot, even though he's on foot. Or I think probably the more competitively balanced pick would still be Isildur. So if you take Isildur, Aristor, Captain, you have all the warband slots you need. I honestly think that's a very good list.
Yeah, it's a good
That
list. I'm
yeah.
Yeah.
still, I'm still though kind of giggling about the time Sam just killed a restaurant, but
Mm.
playing the Shire. But
Yeah.
And of
Sam and
course, I
Bilbo just
mean,
slapping him
it
down.
doesn't need
But
to be said. I think that Shire's the best list.
Shire is the best.
Just
Yeah.
I
All
know
right. So
you both know that,
that's
but anybody
fair. All right.
listening needs to know that.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think Shire is a
I
dominant list.
So I think the reason I didn't consider Shire is I consider Shire so janky that I just immediately thought of it as an evil list because all of the
Yes.
evil lists are like ridiculous and janky and all of the good lists are like normal. And then you've just got the Shire. Yeah, I think the Shire is the best
Yep.
good list.
Yep.
Now that I actually think about it. Um,
I think I'm there. I'm there with you. All right. Um, all right. So this has been kind of some interesting musings. We have reached the conclusion that the Shire is the best good list, and uh, what's the? Hang on a second here. Army of the White Hand is the best evil list. Are we going to rest on that conclusion? That seems like a fitting place to end.
it's probably, I think, currently how the meta is shaping up. That would make sense to me.
All right. Well, you heard it first here. It's going to be a Shire versus Army of the White Hand shoot off.
And then
For
AOL
who's going to win.
exists somewhere up at the
Oh
top
God, yeah.
still.
I mean, AOL I think is probably the AOL is clearly the best of the legacies.
Yeah,
Um,
oh my gosh, not even close.
Yes, there's no competition in that. That's for
yep,
sure.
yep, yep.
Um, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see when people start taking like in bigger tournaments when people start playing legacies a lot more, the impact that AOL has. Um, because I think it's definitely up there. Um, fighting with White Hand for the top spot in terms of power and lists.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.